Hello, class. I'm back here to talk about Chapter 9, Problem 7. We have just finished Chapter 9, Problem 1, where you were asked just to construct a project network. And I have labeled in here to make easier on Problem 7. Before we even begin, let me just go through your textbook. So we can read the problem first, right here. Problem 7. Embassy Club Condominium, located on the west coast of Florida, is undertaking a summer renovation of its main building. The project is scheduled to begin May 1st and a September 1st, that means 17 weeks completion date is desired. The condominium manager identified the following renovation activities and their estimated times. So they don't really tell us what would be the activities, but they tell which ones are the immediate predecessor and the time. So these are weeks. Okay. So right here, just by looking at this table right here, you can see that activities A, B, and C, uh, there they start. They don't have any immediate predecessors. However, D, we can only start D once A, B, and C have been completed. And then E, we can only start E if C and D have been completed. We could go ahead and start F as long as A is completed, G if D and F is completed, and H if it's A is completed, E is completed. So the problem is asking us to draw the project network that we did just like for problem 1, and you're going to see how that's going to help a lot. And then B, we're going to identify which ones are the critical activities. That means the one that have no slack time. When you find a slack time of 0, as I have mentioned before, that means that's a critical activity. You must complete by the time that they have estimated. Otherwise, everything else is going to fall apart. Okay, and then once you have completed all this, you're going to be able to answer without whether the project could possibly be completed by September 1st or 17 weeks. Therefore, let's say you predict that the project is going to take 18 weeks, then your answer would be no, it cannot be completed. But if you do identify anything that is equals or less than 17 weeks, then yes, you could complete the project by the desired date. Let me see if there is anything else I want to. No, the other one is problem 8. So I have got this information that we had from your book, and I have added here. So these are the activities. Actually, I should just say the project schedule completed. Okay, let's just put activity. It's gonna break it, right? Yeah, just a tiny bit. Which I wanna really make um, the cells as small as I can. So I might go ahead and even make this smaller, not so small that you can really see it. But let's see how small we can go ahead and do this without messing these ones up. Okay, that's good enough right here. I'm just gonna make a little bigger. Okay, so let's draw the first letter A is to draw the project. Well, the project network. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back here to the start and I'm gonna copy here to give you an idea how to begin uh, how to draw this project network. Okay, so now we have the start. Remember that we also gonna have the finish, but I'm not gonna copy the finish until I have really completed the whole CPM or critical path method. Okay, now what we need is, well, activity A doesn't have any predecessor, therefore it connects is a start. Activity B doesn't have any predecessor, and activity C doesn't have any predecessor as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this. gonna make it perhaps a little smaller. Mm, let's leave it like that. Okay, so again, let me copy this. So we know that A, I'm gonna leave some room. B, I'm actually gonna move even further. Sorry about that. I wanted this to be aligned to this one. I know it's gonna merge here, so I'm just gonna merge again. Okay, it's gonna be my start, and then C. So I'm just gonna skip a couple. Okay, so we're gonna replace this. We're gonna put A. This is activity A. This is activity B, and this is activity C. Okay, so now we're gonna connect them to the star. I'm just gonna repeat for this one. I'm gonna go to insert. I'm gonna go right here to shapes, and I'm gonna choose the arrow right here, and then I'm gonna draw an arrow from here to A, and then I wanna change the color to black. I could even change to red for what I care, but I'm just gonna change to black, and I also wanna make it thicker. I could even go ahead and change to dashes or different ways, different formats for arrows. We just need a simple one. We really worry about which one connects to what. As long as you can understand that, then everything is good. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm clicking Control C to copy and Control V to paste. So I'm just gonna direct this to B, and right here I'm gonna connect this one to C. And you can make as long as you want, as short as you want. So here we go. Okay, so that should make you understand that A, B, and C don't have any predecessors. They have to be done first before the rest. Okay, so now, and I'm gonna address the other one soon. Now let's look at activity D. Well, the predecessors for activity B, it's A, B, and C. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy one of this. And I'm gonna put it D right here. Okay, or even maybe, or we go back, and then again, let me copy it right over here. Perfect. So this is D. And if A, B, and C are the predecessors, therefore we're just gonna do the connection with the arrows. So this one is gonna come from A. This one is gonna come from B. And this one, which one did I steal one? I did, didn't I? Huh, maybe I stole the wrong one. Just put this back right here. Okay, perfect. And then we need one more for over here, which is C. And I'm going kind of slow because I want to you understand it also to look nice enough for you to really see what's going on. Okay, perfect. We are over here. So we completed, let me just mark them. We completed A and B and C as far as predecessors. This I'm abbreviating for immediate predecessor, okay? You can look at your book. So we put A, B, and C. That there's the star, and we have just completed D. And now we're gonna do E. Well, E, the predecessor for E is C and D, these two over here. So let's go ahead and put E down here. Okay, let me just align with this one kind of. So I'm gonna say this is E because D, correct? C and D are the predecessors. So C is one. Go over here. And then now D is the other one, correct? So let me Control C, Control V, And I'm just gonna say that this is over here. Perfect. So now we finished this one. Okay, F. Well, F, the only predecessor for F, it's A. Once we complete A, we can start F. So if it's the only one is A, excuse me, and I'm already over here, so I'm just gonna put it, so if the only one is A, I'm just gonna put it right straight from A, which this is activity F right here. A is the predecessor for F. So I'm gonna get a long arrow and I'm gonna put it over here and maybe make even a little longer perhaps or no. You don't have, you can also use the mouse. It looks good enough. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just wanted you to see the calculations, okay? So G, but the predecessor for G is D and F. And the and then let's look at the last one. The predecessor for H is E, so it's about here. Okay, so let's go right here. So we can put G, let's say about here. So let's go with G first. I don't want you to get confused. So we know G is gonna be D is the predecessor right here, and F, correct? Okay, right there. Perfect. Mm. Okay, now lastly, you have H, which the predecessor is E, right? So we're gonna do, I stop sometimes just to make sure that I'm doing the right thing so I don't get it wrong and confuse you. So yes, correct. So this is gonna be H, and the only predecessor is gonna be my E. Because one little thing that you do it wrong, it's gonna really confuse all your calculations. Okay. So let me use the perhaps the keyboard. Okay, so these are the last two, but really, and then there's H. I mean, there, and then now you have the finish. So we're gonna copy here, and I'm gonna put it about right here. Okay. Now I have G and H. So E is the predecessor for H, and G is the predecessor is D and F. Therefore, since we don't have anything else, so we're gonna connect these two. These are not connected, so this last two I'm gonna connect to G to finish, and then H to finish. Okay, here we go. That's your, if I would ask you only to draw the actual project network, I believe I put 12. Okay, now if you remember, if we go back here and I copy this from here and put it here to remind us, because now is the part that is going to get very interesting. Um, the next step for you, it's going to be to determine the activity time. Well, the activity time is given to us right here. 3, 1, all these are activity. So the activity time is over here, right? So you're gonna go in, we're gonna leave it, we don't have to, actually we do have to change for start and finish. For the start, well, you don't have an activity time because it starts at 0. Always activity time is gonna start at 0. Remember that, okay? It's very important that you pay attention. I put a video on your discussion thread that uh, explains the same process. And so if you don't understand the way I'm doing, please go ahead and um, refer to the video that I put on your discussion thread, and he's even more detailed. Okay, so the activity time, these are activity times, remember? I'm even gonna put like, let's see, trying to put it like this, and it's not letting me. I just wanna show the top part here. So the activity time for A is 3, so we're gonna put 3 here. The activity time for B is 1, all the blue ones. And then for C is 2, right? So I have 3, I have 1, I have 2, correct? Now I have 4 over here on the blue. And then for E, I have 5 for E, right? So 5 for E. And then you have 3 for F. And then you have 6 for G, right? And then you have 4 for H. You don't have this one yet, so we're gonna leave it alone. Now we're gonna do the early start time. So this is gonna be the early start time. The way it works, right here on the start, it's gonna be 0 for the early start and earliest finish. However, the way you do it really is gonna be 0 plus 0. You gotta do this plus this, and when you come back, you're gonna subtract. So let me just leave it here for now, so you can remember that. So the earliest start time, to define the earliest finish time, you're gonna do the early start plus the activity time. So I'm gonna do by the cells, equals this cell plus, you know what, let me do by the numbers, because if you're not used to Excel, you're not gonna know which cell to put. So let's just do equals 0 plus 0. I just added this to right here. So this is your earliest finish time, early start time, late start, late finish. Okay, so let's just put it in the middle for you to remember. Okay, so now my earliest finish time for activity A, and in this case B and C as well, is going to be equals to the earliest finish time for the start. So all I'm going to do, so I don't get lost in, on my calculation later on, do equals to my earliest finish. Here as well, I'm gonna do equals to my earliest finish, and over here I'm gonna equals to my earliest finish. Okay, so now we're gonna do 0 plus 3 right here. So 0 plus 3, correct, is 3. Right here we're gonna do 0 plus 1. Just remember this over here. So I'm gonna do equals 0 plus 1, and over here I'm gonna do 0 plus 2, correct? Early start plus earliest finish, 0 plus 2. And then now you have to determine, let's start with D. Well, D, the predecessors are, the immediate predecessor, A, B, and C. Remember the arrows right here? So which one are you going to pick? Now you have to choose the earliest finish, to put it here for D as the earliest start. Well, really, you cannot start D until you finish this, and therefore you're gonna have to pick the highest one, because this one is gonna take 1 week, this one 2 weeks, but this A is not gonna take less than 3 weeks. If you go ahead and, how could you possibly start D without completing B, or without completing A in this case? So you have to use always on the top the highest from the immediate predecessors. So in this case, the highest right here is 3. Okay, so now 3 plus 4 equals 3 plus 4. Remember, Earlier start plus activity time. Okay, now let's look at F. Well, the only predecessor for F, right? It's A. So you're just gonna use the same one right here. So it's gonna be equals 3. And then right here, you're gonna do 3 plus 3. Remember, I'm just looking at this top part right now. Don't look at the rest. So you're gonna do equals 3 plus 3. Oops, not 23. That's not helpful. Is 6. Okay. So we have already completed A, B, C, D. Okay, and then let's go to E. The predecessors for E are D, correct? And if you forget, you just look over here. Are C and D. Well, C might take only 2 weeks, but D might take 7 weeks. So you're gonna have to use the highest. You can start D until you complete this one. So E equals to 7 because you have two predecessors. So you need to choose which one is highest on the way from start to finish. You add first. So now you have 75. So you're gonna do equals to 7 plus 5, 12 weeks. Okay, we're on G. Remember G, the immediate predecessor, D and F. D and F. Well, D is 7 and F is 6. You cannot start G until you finish the highest, until you finish then D. Another way you could do it, just gonna show you a little formula, but you would have to be very comfortable with Excel and with these predecessors. It's not difficult. It just you need to really know which ones are the predecessors. You could just say that you want to know which one is the maximum number between this cell and this cell, and then close parentheses and enter. It's going to tell you the maximum number is 7. It's like you picking the highest. Over here, you could do the same thing, and if you would put that the maximum of this cell, comma, this cell, comma, this cell, and you close, you should tell you it's 3. There it is. The problem with this, if you click on the wrong cell or you forget a predecessor, everything else goes bad. Okay, so there's the formula for you, but I'm going to keep going the way I was. Right here, you got to do the early start plus the activity time, therefore equals 7 plus 6, correct? G has 2, remember that's why I put 7. And then H has only one predecessor, therefore it could only possibly be 12. And then now we have the finish. Well, the finish, you're going to notice, that's why I didn't want to say this before, that once you do the early start and early finish, they should be equal. And you should get an activity time here of 0 as well. So let's try and see if that works. Well, right here I didn't finish. So let's do that. 12 plus 4, correct? 16. Oh, there we go. So let's just go and do equals the maximum, oops, of this cell and this cell, which you know is 16. 16 is the highest, correct? Now, I just told you the, the difference should always be 0 over here on the activity time. Therefore, 16 plus 0 equals to 16. And you would be done with the top. Now you have to go back. You have to go the other way around. But now you're going to be subtracting the uh, latest finish time. Actually, here is incorrect, right? Huh, I noticed something was not. Sorry about that. Finish time. Therefore, on my template, this also should say finish time. So now we're gonna do the other way around. The way we do it also, it's gonna be we get the the earliest finish time, which is 16, and use as the latest finish time to begin. So we're gonna do equals this is gonna be equals this value right here. The finish is always gonna be 0. So you're gonna do now the other way around. We're gonna do 16 for the latest finish minus the activity time. So 16 minus 0. Right here, we're gonna be using the latest start for the latest finish, right? So we're gonna do equals this, and this also is connected to the finish. So 16. And then we're gonna do that 16 minus 6 right here is 10. I'm just, no, I started, I'm gonna finish. And then right here, 16 minus 4. Wait, gotta put an equal sign. Okay. Excuse me. Now for E, the only predecessor for H is E, therefore latest start, latest finish is gonna be the same right here. Okay, now for G, you have D and F as a predecessor, correct? But let's go ahead and finish this one since we have a, every time we have a value, let's just go ahead. 12 minus 5 is 7. Minus 5 is 7. So now we have for D, do you see the arrows connected here? We have 10 and we have 7. Since now we're going the other way around, we are gonna be doing, we're gonna be using here 7. We're gonna be using the lowest right here because now we are going from finish to start. When you go from start to finish, you use the highest. When you go from finish to start, you using the lowest. So between, if you would do equals to the minimum, same way I did the maximum, between the ones that are connecting, which is 10 and 7, is going to tell you it's 7. Right here, the only one would be 10. See, the arrow is just coming to this, is just going to that one. Okay. Over here, you have, let's finish, 10 minus 3 is 7. Right here, 7 minus 4 is 3, correct? 7 minus 4. Again, 7 minus 4 is 3, correct? Okay, so now do you see how do you see the arrows going to this 2 over here? So you're between 7 and 3, so the smallest would be 3. And if you're not sure, again, the minimum between this cell and this cell right here, which will be 3. So 3 minus 3 right here is gonna be 0. Over here, which ones am I missing? Okay, I did all this. Okay, good. So over here you have between 7 and 3. Therefore, you also gonna have 3. So 3 minus 2, 1, correct? And now the last one right here, the only one connected to be in this case right here would be 3. Therefore 3, and then over here would be 3 minus 1, which is 2. And then if you look at the lowest between all these 3, you would see that is also a 0 over here. You would start at 0, 0 minus 0, it's a 0. So we would be done with the earlier starts and early finish. So if you would look at the early starts for each one, you see the early start for A is 0, for B, or you can do equals early start. For B, the earlier start is over here. For C, the early start is right here. For D, it's over here. and then E, make sure you get them right, F, G, H. So you should end it up with the numbers on your earlier star as like this. Remember, early start, late start. So my latest star is going to be 0. Then my latest star for B, it's going to be 2. My latest star is going to be 3. 3, no, a C or 1. Sorry about that. And then the latest star for D is going to be 3, right? And then my latest star for E is 7. Make sure you don't get that confused. That's why it's important. You have to label all of them. Latest star for F is 7. Latest star for G is 10. And latest star for H is 12. Correct? And now you have to do the earliest finish. So you're going to do equals to earliest finish for A. See if you get one wrong. And then the earliest finish for B. And the earliest finish for C. Earliest finish for D. Earliest finish for E. Earliest finish for F. Earliest finish for uh, G. And earliest finish for H. And then lastly, you're going to have the latest finish right here. A, latest finish, then latest finish, then latest finish, latest finish for E, latest finish for F, latest finish for G, latest finish for H, and the table will be complete. Black, it says you're gonna have to do the latest start minus your early start, correct? So right here, let's just follow this formula. So your latest start is 0, correct? Minus your earliest start right here. So you have a slack of 0. Let's go ahead, copy the formula down, and then we're gonna do here as well to make sure it's correct. Okay, so it says that your slack right here should be 0, which is gonna be this one, latest star minus early star is 0. Right here, we should have a 2 because we're gonna have the latest star minus the earliest finish. Over here, we should have a 1, latest star minus earliest finish. Right here, we should have a 0, correct? 3 minus 3, and you can see it's so far so good. Right here, we're gonna have what? 7 and 7. So 7 minus 7, correct? You can either do the numbers or refer to the cells, whatever works for you, as long as I can see your calculations. So right here, you're gonna do a 10 minus a 7. And over here, 7 minus 3, I forgot that one. Okay, so 4 and then 3, and then right here should be 0 as well. So we're gonna have equals to latest start minus earliest finish. And if you notice, they all match. Because for A, we have 0. I'm looking at this column right here. For B, we have 2. For C, we have a slack time of 1. For D, we have a slack time of 0. For E, we have a slack time of 0. For F, we have a slack time of 4. For G, we should have a slack time of 3. And for H, you should have a slack time of 0. Therefore, is correct. Okay, so what is your critical path? Well, definitely, is this a critical path? If you have no slack, absolutely nothing, is definitely a critical path. Okay, is this one? No, you have 2 weeks extra. This one you have 1 week. This one you have no time extra. E, no time extra. This one has 4 weeks. This one has 3, and this one has 0, which is another critical path. Therefore, you have just identified your critical path and the way you determine. Let's read the questions. So you did your project network and you have defined all the times because now you can answer that your critical path or your critical activities are going to be A, correct? And then D, E, and H. Those are your critical activities. Means you have absolutely no slack time. You must complete by what was determined before. The activity that has the most slack time, well, if you would either, what is the max between this cell, this cell, this cell, and this cell, should tell you that is 4, which is the maximum, is the highest number of weeks. And will the project be complete by September 1st? Yes, the project times is in fact 16 weeks. So you have, if you do stay on course and respect all this, actually it will be completed in 16 weeks and not 17 weeks. So there's still some room for error, very small, not for activity A, D, E, and H, but for the other ones, yes, there is still some room to move things around. And even though it might look confusing, your book shows in a different way, which I can try to put it here to see if you feel better about it. For example, on A, instead of doing like this, what you can do is you can put the activity here, the activity time over here instead, and they do it in the book is, which makes sense. I really don't want to merge the cells though. Okay, that's good. So let me take all this format. You don't have to do any of this. I'm just showing the way the book is showing you in case you wonder what have I done differently. Okay? So this, which I can see why. So the book is puts the activity here and puts the activity time over here. And the way they do it is, well, we know they start at 0, correct? So we're gonna start at 0. So we're gonna do over here equals um, 0 plus the activity time, which is 3. And when you come back, you should figure that here would be 3. Let's just suppose we did all the calculations, and you would do instead, you could do equals 3 minus the activity time, and you're gonna get 0. So it's just the way they arrange it is completely different than what I do. I prefer like that because I keep my everything. I can even see this I included is like time. Your book does it differently, doesn't. Which really, if right here, if you want to calculate the slack time, then you really just have to do equals the latest minus the earliest. That's your slack time. Okay, so whatever works for you. I have put a video. You're welcome to search for other videos, and I just want to show you this. Um, Very important last note. Don't just look at the video and copy the numbers. If I see that you have absolutely no formulas, no calculations, and all you came in here was to look at the video and type the numbers, I don't accept. I need to make sure that you understand the process because on your midterm, you are going to see this again. And I expect for you to know all these steps. And I also advise you that even though I didn't assign on the homework to review the PERT formula for the optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic times and how they calculate that. Remember, optimistic plus 4 times the most likely plus the pessimistic divided by 6. That's the formula. Okay, and so please make sure you go through, even though I did not assign on the case, that is due on the 15th, you will definitely see on your midterm. And never hesitate to contact me if there are any questions. So we're done now with problem um, 1 and problem 7. Well, apparently, oh, there are my arrows. I was wondering where they went. And that's all for tonight. Thank you.